Jai Sri Krishna. Last time we saw what is Tyag. In the first shlok, Arjuna asked the difference between Tyag and Sannyas, and Bhagavan said that those actions, those karma which are done for kam means to fulfill your desire, relinquishing them is called sannyas, and doing the karma and leaving the fruit of the karma, relinquishing the fruit of the karma is called tyag. So tyag is simply relinquishing something. We also saw that there are three things which are not worth relinquishing. You cannot relinquish those. These are yajna, dan, and tap. Now, to add something to this here, very first time when the creation happened, which we call the Mool Srishti, very first time. This is what Bhagavan, when he took avatar, he told all jeev how to act in this sansar. And that is going to stay true till everyone attains moksha. That is the way the jeev is supposed to act in sansar. How is that? Is to do the karma phal tyag. So tyag is very important. And at the end of this session, we'll see why. The yajna, dhyan and tap, these three are pillars of dharma. So you cannot leave them, cannot do tyag of them. Otherwise you will turn into adharmi, you will become adharma. The truth is that we relinquish something only if we find it not to be of any benefit to us in accomplishing our worldly goals. Nobody wants to relinquish anything. On the contrary, people like to accumulate more. In real sense, tyag happens only after one gets jnana. In the absence of jnana, one cannot exercise tyag. And I'm not talking about devata jnana, jnana of Ishwar. That is the only jnana which gives us the power to relinquish something. Last time we saw that Bhagavan showed little interest in talking about sannyas and said that while practicing tyag, one should not relinquish yajna, dan and tap, since these help us to rise above and take us to a state of moksha. So even a person who is jnani, manishi or vichakshana, they also have to perform yajna, dan and tap. So what is yajna? Yajna involves Dev Puja. You do worship to Parmeshwar. Sangatikaran or fellowship. Do it as a group. And daneshu, and give dan. So yajna also encompasses dan. Now to do this in a regular way is what tap is. You are doing tap, because I'm going to do this, and you make yourself do certain things. Since these help us rise above and take us to the moksha, we cannot relinquish these. In today's world, practice of tyag and sannyas are extremely difficult, if not impossible. It is apparent that tyag was possible in Dwapar Yuga, since Bhagavan Krishna mentioned this to Arjuna. In Gita, tyag has been mentioned with respect to relinquishing the karma phal. Repeatedly, Bhagavan has said this. Here, Bhagavan says, whether one becomes jnani or sannyasi, he too attains higher state of perfection through yajna, dan and tap. Now Bhagavan gives his view on the subject of tyag in the next shloka.
एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च कर्तव्यानीति मे पार्थ निश्चितं मतमुत्तमम्.
Arjun, etani eti me nishchitam uttamam. Iti me nishchitam uttamam. This is my well considered and supreme conviction or verdict. And what is this verdict? Bhagavan says, etani tu api karmani. These, etani means these. These means yajna, dan and tap. These karma and other acts of duty also, those karma which are your responsibility, your kartavya, your duty, they should be kartavyani, shall be performed. You have to do those. What you have to do? You have to do yajna, dan, tap, and those actions which you are obliged to do. It's your duty to do. Sangam tyaktva phalani cha. Sangam tyaktva phalani cha, leaving attachment to the action and the fruit thereof. So here attachment even to the action. If you're doing an action, should not show attachment to that. There should be no attachment. Like if you're doing dan, then you say, I did so much dan. Did you know that? Well, then you got attached now. You do dan and forget about it. Do it as your duty. Then you don't get attachment in there. So you have to do these actions without attachment to the action itself as well as the fruit thereof. What is going to result in? You don't get attached to that. So here Bhagavan is simply reinforcing what he quoted the sages, Kavya and the wise ones, the Vichakshana, in Shlok 2. He is just simply reinforcing it. He is going a step further by saying leaving the attachment and fruit thereof. The Jnani, the Vichakshana said you should not do these, should not leave these karma. You have to do these karma. But Bhagavan says how you do sangam tyaktva phalanicha. You leave the attachment to karma and the fruit, and that's how you act. What Bhagavan said in chapter 15, Shlok 1 and 2, about the sansar being an upside down tree, Urdha Mula Madha Shakha, Ashwatham Prahuravyam, and how it binds up through the contract of karma, karmanubandhina manushya. So we are always being bound in this sansar through our karma. Then immediately in Shlok 3, he described the way out of this bondage is to cut a path using the strong acts of non-attachment, asang. And now here Bhagavan is saying that do the tyag, practicing non-attachment to the action and to whatever fruit it may bear. So it's the same thing. What is important thing? It is non-attachment, asang. That becomes our weapon. And we always should use that weapon, whether we are doing tyag or yajna or dan or tap, whatever we are doing, that is the weapon we have to use. That way you don't get attached to any of the action. This is the only way out. There is no way out other than this. Because in chapter 15, Bhagavan said, you cut a path through this tree, upside down tree, in which is binding you all the time with making you do the karma. So, and you do that with the axe using the non-attachment. If you get attached, then you are bound in there. So this applies to the actions and the fruit, both. You can be bound by the action, you are attached to the action, then definitely you're going to be attached to the fruit. Or you can be attached to fruit and then you are attached, you are bound again. You come into bondage. So you have to give attachment to both the action as well as the fruit thereof. Most importantly, only those actions which are the acts of duty, kartavya karma, karmani. This implies that one needs to be involved only in the acts of duty and the yag, dan and tap. That is what human life is supposed to be. You do your duty and also alongside you do yag, dan and tap. And even your duty you are doing as yagna, dan and tap. So they all are intertwined. But you perform all these without attachment to the actions and their fruits. So performing karma, yag, dan and tap with non-attachment and with renunciation of its fruit is the highest and the best. The best way to live in this world is to perform yag, dan, tap with non-attachment with the renunciation of its fruit. Whatever fruit it bears, that's fine, but you're not attached to it. You do dan of it. Now look at an example of this. Suppose you invited many people and fed them, considering that to be your duty. So it becomes a dutiful action. The action is correct. It's the correct action because that is your duty to feed people. However, those people thought that they will need to invite you, so become reciprocal. Then the actions become incorrect because there is a fruit of that action now and there is expectation involved in it. There should be no reciprocity. So if there is no attachment or a requital of obligation, what we call pratyupakar ki bhavana, and there is no desire of the fruit, such yajna, dan and tap they are done as it is our duty to do these. Such action is considered the best. Next, Bhagavan says that we should know that although the tyag of the karma phal is the best, it is of three types. Please try to understand that all the karma are classified under one of the three gunas. In sansar, every karma, any action you do, is classified under one of the three gunas, because those three gunas only, that is what runs this whole sansar. Everything runs through the three gunas. So Bhagavan tells us that tyag is of three types. So when you do tyag, that will be classified into three different types, depending on what guna is, what is the preponderance of which guna. The best tyag is that which is done with the Ishwararpan buddhi, because you're doing it for Paramatma, for Parameshwar. With that buddhi, that kind of intellect, when you do that, tyag, then that is the best tyag. As described in chapter 4, Shlok 24, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmano Hutam. Here Brahm is for Ishwar. So everything is Ishwar, and we are doing Ahuti, everything is all Ishwararpan Buddhi. We are doing for Parameshwar, not for ourselves. Bhagavan is telling how Rajogun and Tamogun can creep even in such tyag. When you are doing the tyag with Ishwararpan Buddhi, saying everything is Brahm, we are Brahmahavi, Brahma Arpanam. So even then, Tamogun or Rajogun, they can creep in there. How they creep in there is in next slok.
नियतस्य तु सन्न्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागः तामसः परिकीर्तितः.
Bhagavan is describing first Tamogun, how Tamogun can creep in there. Then followed by Rajogun, and the last is Satogun. Tyag, Bhagavan is doing this because it is not possible for us human to do tyag. While describing the Jeev Swarup, Bhagavan Sri Chakradhar has said that Jeev is selfish in nature. Just think about it. We all have Jeev within us. And the nature of the Jeev is selfish. Inherent nature is Jeev selfish. Everybody in this sansar, all Jeev are selfish. So how can a Jeev who is selfish can do tyag? So tyag is not really possible for us. And that is why we said earlier, without the jnana, tyag cannot be done. And when there is jnana, then selfishness goes away. When he is compelled to do tyag, he does it. Otherwise, nobody wants to do tyag, nobody wants to let go of things. Even though things may not be worthwhile, not be useful to them, well, I may be able to use it tomorrow or next year or sometime or something. Don't want to give tyag. Such is tamas tyag. So he says, tu, but sannyas, the renunciation, niyatasya karmano, of the niyat or the obligatory karma. So, to do the sannyas of niyat karma or the obligatory karma, na upapadyate, is not advisable and is not proper. Such tyag is done due to moh, under the forces of moh or ajnana. That is what people do. The obligatory karma, the niyat karma, which is not supposed to be, you cannot do tyag of it. People do that because of moh. So what are these niyat karma now? These have been described as sahaj karma, swakarma, swabhavaja karma. These are also called sahaj swabhav. The swabhav, the nature which we are born with, and include eating, drinking, and so on and so forth. All the life activities. You have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to drink fluids. If you don't, then you are giving up on the niyat karma. This is niyat karma, this is decided. It's nishchit. If as a human being, we have to do certain things to maintain this body. If you don't eat, a lot of people do fasting for days and days and days. That becomes a tamogun tyag. That falls under tamogun because you're not supposed to be doing that. As a human body has to be sustained. You don't want to kill yourself. See, You have to maintain your body. Not overdo it, but just do reasonably. So these activities which are necessary to maintain life, that is niyat karma, has been nishchit or decided. Moha tasya parityaga. Bhagavan says that people relinquish these. They do under moh or delusion. When they relinquish eating food or giving pain to their bodies, stuff like this, that is not proper. They are doing this under delusion. Tamasa parkirtita. That is said to be tamastyag. Relinquish that which is possible for you to do, not which is not possible. And you must maintain your body and don't just give up food, because that's part of life. Those who get tired, now next thing is those who get tired of life in sansar and they become sannyasi. Theirs is tamastyag. When you are in sansar, you have to follow the rules of sansar. You have to stay in there. You cannot just run away from something. Those who run away, they say, I'm doing tyag. I just left sansar. I become sannyasi now. Well, true, you become sannyasi in your thinking, but that is called tamas tyag. Their tyag is due to moh or agyan. One example of such tyag is that done by people in ISKCON or the Hare Krishna sect. They shave their heads, wear bhagwa clothes, and they become sannyasi. Now deep within them, they all are raising money through their activities. They collect money as a sannyasi and worldly comfort. They want worldly comfort. Other people think highly of them. They worship them because they themselves are unable to do even such a tamas tyag. So these are the example of tamas tyag. You just leave your karma and just run away from it. That is tamas tyag. In the next shlok, Bhagavan is talking about rajasic tyag. Why some people leave their karma under rajasic tyag. So, next shlok.
दुःखमित्येव यत्कर्म कायक्लेशभयात् त्यजेत् सकृत्वा राजसं त्यागं नैव त्यागफलं लभेत्.
Dukham it ev yat karma. Bhagavan says, so the tamas tyagi do the tyag due to moh or agyan. Why others do the tyag? They think yat karma, the karma, which are dukham ev it. They are only painful. To them, every karma action is painful. And how? He says, now one has to bear much pain in the activities of sansar. Life in sansar is not really very pleasant. It can be very harmful, very dukkdayi or painful. Dealing with all the people in the families, working to provide for them, and dealing with people to earn living is very painful in reality. Not only mental agony, but also kaya klesha. Bhagavan says kaya klesha, bodily suffering. One has to endure physical suffering to earn money. You have to be on time, you have to go to work, you have to do so much work. And then all this, then you get some money in return. So to earn money, to sustain the family, to support the family, which is sansar, is very painful. And bhayat, Fearing this, these people are fearing that they have to work so hard and they have bodily suffering in the actions. So what they do, fearing this, what they do, Tyajet, they relinquish all such karma. Sakratva, he is performing Rajasa Tyagam. He is performing Rajasic Tyag. And what happens to him? Na labhet. He does not obtain. What doesn't he obtain? Tyaga phalam eva. Any kind of fruit of tyag. So what Rajoguni does? He says, it's very hard to do, to sustain family, to do work, and it's also a lot of painful in the bodily suffering and mental agony. So he just leaves it. Okay? Because of that. So that is Rajoguni Tyag. There is a good example of the Rajasic Tyag. A gentleman said that I prayed that if this work of mine comes to fruition, I will leave smoking. Okay? He says, if my work is done, then I'll leave smoking. His wish came true and he did give up smoking. This was a big tyag. That he gave up a habit. Giving up a habit is very difficult, but he gave it up. However, he knew that smoking could cause many health-related problems, and it is awfully expensive habit. He knew that, and he left smoking, expecting fruit of this tyag, because he wanted something in return. This is an example of Rajasic Tyag. You want to leave something, people go and go to different places saying, if my work is done, this is done, that is done, then I'll come back and pay so much money or do something puja and stuff like that. So that's Rajasic Tyag. Now let's take these two types of Tyag in a way in which most people can relate. So in the first case, the person worked hard in sansar, now comes the fruit of the karma, then others come to get their share, or the government levies tax on his earning. So this person, he says, I work so hard and I have to give it all up to other people and to government. So he says, why should I work? I don't want to work. Okay? So he does the tyag of his karma. He just gives up his work. This becomes a tamas tyag. Okay? In the second case, the person did karma and the fruit arrived. Now the government wants to collect tax on it. So he starts to figure out ways to do the tax avoidance. How can I manage so I don't have to pay tax? You see? He doesn't want to give up. Tyag, he cannot do the tyag. But he has to give something up. But he wants to give as little as possible. This is Rajasic Tyag. The first case, person say, I'm not going to even work, so I had not to pay anything. So he did tyag of his karma. That is tamasic tyag. Second one says, well, he's working, but he's trying to figure out a way so he doesn't have to give so much to other people or the government. So he's controlling, he's just making it less expensive for him to do the tyag, okay? So that is Rajasi Tyag. So this happens in two ways. In one way, a person leaves home, he gave up his karma, he leaves home, sansar. And in the second case, he does let go of the fruit of action. Now we will look at it differently. Someone came asking for dhan, okay, for donation. You do the dhan, but you felt pain while giving. In this case, you will get the fruit of the action of giving, but not of the tyag. Okay? In another way, these days, when people want to get some donation, one who is looking for dan brings along someone to whom you cannot say no. You bring somebody who knows you well and you just cannot say no. You end up giving. So the person gives, but on account of the person who came along with. Okay? He's not giving willingly, but he's giving under pressure. Also, he feels pain in giving because he was forced to do so. In this case, also one does not get the fruit of tyag. There is no tyag. You are giving dan, but tyag is not there because you did not do the tyag. Now, in the next shlok, Bhagavan tells how one should do tyag. What is the right way of doing tyag?
कार्यमित्येव यत्कर्म नियतं क्रियतेऽर्जुन संगं त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव सत्यागः सात्विको मतः.
Bhagavan says, Arjun, yat, which, niyatam karma, obligatory karma, the karma that is prescribed by the Shastra, kriyate, is performed, ev iti, only because of the understanding that karyam, it ought to be done as my duty. And how it is performed? Tyaktva, leaving sangam cha phalam, attachment and the fruit, leaving the attachment and the fruit, both of them. Sa eva sattvika tyaga, only such tyag is considered the sattvic tyag. So this person does karma in sansar. How does he do karma? As his duty. It's my duty to do certain things. I cannot avoid it. I don't want to avoid it. I'm just going to do it. And he also gives dan. Whatever he gets, he just gives part of it. Gives to people, distribute. Without any thought that what he is giving belongs to him. Thus having no attachment to what he is giving. Once you give, I gave this. No. If you say, I gave this, then you are attached to it. You just give as your duty. This is my duty to give. He is giving or of the fruit of his action of dan. It is considered as sattvic tyag. When you do it as a duty, whatever you do, action you do, whatever dan you give, whatever you do is called sattvic tyag. In that case, you are not attaching yourself to it. Such a person knows that he is only an agent in giving. Nothing is his. He is only doing what he is supposed to be doing as a human being. Okay? That kind of understanding has to be in their mind, in that person's mind. Unless that understanding is not there, he cannot do that. Every religion has in it one way, one form or the other. Tyag is in there. Every religion has got it. In Hindu Dharma, Manu has said in the best way, according to him, whatever you earn, take 10% of it and set it aside as if you have no right to it. Okay, you got money, you got to put 10% aside, that's it, it's not yours. Now from this, perform the activities of dan. You can give it to your relatives if somebody needs it, or outsider, whatever. Wherever dan is needed to be given, you give out of that. That way you said, it's not mine, I'm just agent, I'm just giving it. Unfortunately, it has long disappeared from the Hindu dharma. So, the Sattvic Tyagi is the one who knows that there are obligatory karma for which he is responsible. For example, remaining alive is his duty, and to stay alive he must eat. This has already been decided when you were giving birth. It's been decided. Similarly, yajna, dan, tap are to be done by all. These are obligations for us all. So, knowing this, he engages in these obligatory actions. But how does he do these? Sangam tyaktva, remaining unattached to the action as well as the fruit thereof. Phalani cha. We'll take an example of this. There is a person who becomes head of an institution. This involves service to the society. This very noble cause. However, once he gets in this situation, people start to praise him. So you're doing great job, you are a great person. He starts to like it and starts expecting that people like him now. For whatever he does, everybody should like him. So now he becomes attached to the position, okay, and does not like to be separated. He loves it so much. He just wants to stay there. It is like the politicians. They run for election. They say, I'm running to serve you. Every one of you, I'm running to serve my constituents, okay? But they run for their own benefit. So, what happened? They put term limits. You can only run so many times. They were instituted. This resulted in them accumulating as much as they can in their term in office. So, I'm going to only have 2 terms, might as well accumulate whatever I can. So, in Mahabharata, it's a very good example in Mahabharata. People did not understand. They thought that Duryodhan was evil one. Everybody said Duryodhan was evil one. On the contrary, it was Dhritarashtra who was the evil. Being blind, he could not be the king. So he put Duryodhan in forefront and he stayed as a king. So in the next shlok, you can see how difficult it is to do tyag. Practicing tyag is very, very difficult. And how to live in the right way, in sattvic way in sansar is also difficult. We have to do our duty and consider everything to be dutiful action. So in next shlok, Bhagavan describes the characteristic of a true tyagi. Who is the true tyagi?
न द्वेष्ट्य कुशलं कर्म कुशलेनानुषज्यते त्यागी सत्त्वसमाविष्टो मेधावी छिन्न संशयः.
Sattva samavishta. The true tyagi is endued with sattva. He is full of sattva. That tyagi who is filled with the sattva is the highest and the best. Now we won't go into what sattva is, but we have discussed this earlier before in other chapters. But the tyagi is filled up with sattva, satogun. He is the highest and the best. What is the sattva in him? Na dveshti akushalam karma. He does not have an aversion to the disagreeable karma. Some karma he has to do which is not agreeable to him, but he does it anyway as his duty without having any aversion to it. He doesn't say, I don't want to do this is bad karma. No, it is your karma, you must do it. He does it that way. Whether it's akushal, he still does it without having any dvesh with it. And kushale nan sajjate. And when there is a karma which is kushal karma, which is agreeable karma, he does not show attachment. He is not attached to it. He doesn't like just, I love doing this, I don't like doing the other karma, but I love doing this one. So no dvesh in akushal karma and no attachment to the kushal karma. That is the sattva in this tyagi. Next, medhavi. Wise with the steady understanding and chinna sanshaya. And all his doubts are gone. They have been dispelled. So, this true tyagi is the one who is filled up with sattva. And the sattva in him is, he does not have any aversion to the action which are not agreeable to him, or he does not have any attachment to the action which are agreeable to him. And medhavi, his understanding is steady, it doesn't change. Medhavi means the wisdom is there, is not temporary, is there permanently. This kind of wisdom that he does not have any aversion for the karma which is not kushal, which is not agreeable, and he has no attachment to the agreeable karma. So he is steady in that. His mind is steady in that. And how? Chinna sanshaya. All his doubts have been dispelled. He has no doubt about it. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do. He has become jnani. This is the characteristic of jnani. So unless you have jnana, we cannot perform this sattvic tyag, which is the right kind of tyag, which is the best tyag. And that is the tyag we are supposed to be doing. We'll expand on this next time. However, before I close today, I want all to think about something. The question is, why did Bhagavan put great deal of emphasis on tyag? Okay? Why did he put so much emphasis on tyag and not sannyas? If we think about it, it's quite simple. Tyag means to relinquish or let go of. Why is it so especially important? To understand this, we must understand that sooner or later, all of us have to leave our body. And none of the possessions will go with us. What leaves the body is the spirit only. And the possessions are not part of the spirit. So, if we feel attachment to anything living or non-living, we will feel the pain of separation at the time of leaving. So what Bhagavan is saying, that we should practice separating ourselves from whatever surrounds us. All this just surrounds us. None of it is part of us. It is just surrounding us, not part of us. Due to ignorance or ajnana, we think it is. That is why the tamoguni tyagi doesn't want to give up. So we need to get the jnana, which will show us the truth, the reality. Then and only then we can practice the art of renunciation or tyag. There is no other way. We will continue this later in month of May or early June because certain reasons. So until then, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.